To Del Millers with personalfitness.com. Welcome. And let's get started because I'm going to be brutally honest with you right from the get-go. You see, the number one reason why you keep losing weight and regaining it is because you keep chasing after band-aid solutions instead of committing yourself to long-term transformation. You see, like my clients, you've probably tried everything. You've tried diets, potions, lotions, cleanses, teas, maybe even surgery. Yet here you are, right back where you began. Now, here's the most important thing I have to share with you today. I'm just going to give it to you right up front because most of you won't get it, simply because you're not ready to hear it. But when you're ready, you'll remember that I told you that it was the most important thing. So here we go. You don't get the results you want. You get who you become. I want you to really internalize that. You don't get the results you want, you get who you become. And that is one of the most important things I work with my clients on, right? So just let that sink in for a minute, because if that doesn't blow your mind, like I said, maybe you're not ready to hear it. You see, the last time you lost weight, think about this. How did you change in the process? How did your life change? If you're back where you began, it's because you're the same person living the same crazy life. You didn't change. So it wasn't possible to maintain the results you were after. What you got was only temporary. You want to know why? Take this in. I want you to really take this in. When you lose weight and change your body, the new body isn't yours to keep yet. It's just a loaner. Let me repeat that. When you lose weight and change your body, the new body isn't yours to keep yet. It's just a loaner. You see, your body is in the process of adjusting itself, readjusting itself, right? Readjusting its metabolism, readjusting your internal physiology. So to keep that body, you have to change from the inside out, because that's where the changes are taking place, on the inside. You must develop the mindset of the person who's, let's say you lost 50 to 100 pounds. You've got to develop the mindset of the person who's 50 to 100 pounds lighter. You must adopt the habits of the person who's 50 to 100 pounds lighter. You must create a new lifestyle that suits that new person. Because, ladies, the deal is, your current self is a very freaking different person from the person you will be 50 to 100 pounds lighter. You gotta see that. If you lose 100 pounds and you remain the very same person living the same life, you're going to regain every last pound of it back. I want you to really internalize that because I've seen it happen repeatedly. It is impossible to maintain the body of someone 100 pounds lighter while still holding on to the same limiting beliefs, still being controlled by your urges, cravings, and all your old subconscious habits that are still there. You see, 95% of your habits are subconscious. You don't even know that they're there. You're only aware of 5% of the things you do on a daily basis. Right? If you're still dragging around all the unresolved emotional conflict that's been controlling your life for decades, it is not possible. And if you don't see that, that is exactly why you will never escape the weight loss trap until you do. The losing and regaining, and living a miserable existence in the process. Let me tell you what transformation looks like. Right? My client Mary lost 80 pounds and she ended up leaving her husband in the process. Why? Because she transformed from the inside out. She is no longer the same person. She's no longer willing to allow someone to control her, to constantly berate her, and treat her less than. Why? Because she knows her own self-worth now. She knows that she's not broken or emotionally damaged. She's whole and complete. Mary has created a whole new identity narrative of who she is and how she wants to live her life. See, your identity narrative is the story you tell about who you are. Mary has been my client now for over 25 years. She goes way back to when I was just starting out as a personal trainer. You see, working with Mary and other women like her was my primary inspiration for pursuing a master's degree in psychology. then a PhD in nutrition, then studies in neuroscience, because I wanted to know more. I wanted to know how to really help them. I realized that diet and exercise wasn't cutting it, right? Transformation requires deeper work, and that's the kind of work that I do with my clients. Their success is the reason why I do coaching work with women like you, women who want to get their confidence back, who want to be able to look in the mirror and love the person looking back at them. They want to feel comfortable in their own skin no matter what they weigh. They want to learn to feel their feelings, not feed their feelings. They want to be confident in their abilities to work through difficult emotions because they lead to self-sabotage, right? So they learn to develop positive coping strategies. They want to develop a self-care regime to look and feel their best instead of trying to lose weight to feel good about themselves or to fix themselves because there is something broken or emotionally damaged about them. No, they want to feel whole and complete, not broken or emotionally damaged. They want to get rid of the shame, guilt, self-loathing, and all their unnecessary suffering and learn to love themselves again. These are the women I work with, and this is how they define sexy. Sexy is confidence, my friends. It's being able to look in the mirror and love the person looking back at you. Sexy is feeling comfortable in your own skin no matter what you weigh. Sexy is learning to feel your feelings, not feed your feelings. Sexy is being confident in your ability to work through difficult emotions before they lead to self-sabotage. Sexy is having a self-care regime to look and feel your best. Sexy is feeling whole and complete, not broken or emotionally damaged. Sexy is learning to love yourself again. So are you ready to get your sexy back? Are you ready to become the person you need to become to create the body and life you've always dreamed of? Remember, you don't get the results you want. You get who you become. Who you become is your future vision of yourself, ladies. And that's the very first thing I work with every single client on creating. Who do you want to become? And what kind of life do you want to be living? So if you're serious, let me encourage you to click the button on the page and sign up for a free health strategy call with me. I'm going to help you to get started by taking the next step, creating a future vision of the person you want to become and the life you want to live. I call that your future self. So click the button. Tell me a little bit about yourself with a questionnaire, then choose a time on my calendar that works for you, then show up. If you sign up, show up or reschedule. I hate no-shows because I have a limited amount of time each week for these calls, and I have more people wanting these calls than I have openings on my schedule. Besides, I can't help you if you don't show up. So please, click the link below, sign up for a free health strategy call, then show up, and let's create that future vision that you've been dreaming of. That is the first step in this process of creating transformation. All right, so here's the second most important thing I'm going to share with you today. See, we're moving right along. I don't waste time here. You can't create lasting change from a place of feeling broken or emotionally damaged. You just can't create lasting change from a place of feeling broken or emotionally damaged. Therefore, you must resolve the emotional conflicts that lead to self-sabotage. You see, the very first time I spoke with my client, Louisa, on one of my free health strategy calls, she watched the webinar, she signed up for free health strategy calls. She was very skeptical that my work would be able to help her because she's done it all. Years of therapy, but she always felt smarter than the therapist. See, she's been on every diet and weight loss program out there. And yet, here she was, still struggling decades later. On the call, we attempted the future vision exercise, and she was completely blocked. Couldn't see herself in the future, which isn't unusual for a lot of people because a lot of times we are so defined by our past, we can't see anything significantly different about ourselves in the future. So I told her, I said, you need to go deeper. And fortunately, she was willing. She said, Dr. Dell, I have never felt beautiful. I have never felt like I was enough. In fact, the art of loving oneself has completely escaped me. On our session, we ended up back at her little 8-year-old Louisa self, sitting in her room, listening to her daddy pulling up the gravel driveway and being completely terrified that the shit show is about to begin. See, long story short, she became a client. And for the first 3 months, all we did was tackle all the unresolved emotional issues that she's been dealing with for the past 6 decades. She's been dragging all this stuff around with her for the past 6 decades. Like I said, you can't create lasting change from a place of feeling broken or emotionally damaged, from a place of not feeling beautiful, from a place of not feeling enough, from a place of not knowing how to love yourself. In our first year, Louisa lost 50 pounds. But she did start to slip, right? Because this happened. She started to slip. And it took us about a month to get her back on track, learning and practicing the habits of her future self, one of which is what I call guardrail habits. That's how you learn to catch yourself when you're slipping. That's how we caught that she was slipping. And the reason for that is so that regaining 5 pounds doesn't turn into 10 or 15 or 20. You got to be able to catch yourself when you're slipping. Those are what we call guardrail habits, and that's what we practice. So Louisa is now one of my very favorite clients to work with because week after week, she's not afraid to do deep work in the service of the person she's becoming. You hear that? Week after week, she's not afraid to do deep work in service of the person she's becoming. So believe me, it's still a challenge years later, but transformation is a process. It's not an event. Transformation is a process. So believe me, ladies, when I tell you that you just can't create lasting change from a place of feeling broken or emotionally damaged. You must first resolve the emotional conflicts that lead to self-sabotage. Otherwise, on a daily basis, when those cravings and urges and the inner conflict shows up, that is usually what drives most people to eat. You see, when life gets heavy, most people turn to food. And that is usually what happens. So that is what we need to address. We need to come up with new coping strategies that don't involve food. And that's what I did with Louisa. So she's 50 pounds lighter in a year. And her goal is to lose another 50 pounds. And she will get there. She's working on that, right? She's on track. Are you on track? So ladies, here's the deal. I don't offer my clients weight loss programs. I offer them the opportunity to transform their lives and in the process, create the body and health they've dreamed of. Right? That is what is possible for you too. That is possible. So again, if you're serious and ready to move forward, click the link on the page and sign up for a free health strategy call. I can't help you if I don't hear from you. Right? You took the first 4 steps. You click my ad on Facebook. You click the link to my webinar page. You signed up for the webinar, right? Here you are, you showed up. Now, why stop now? Say yes one more time. Click the link, sign up, then show up to our call. Your future self is waiting, and I would love to introduce you. Now, here's the final of the 3 strategies I promised you. You ready? You must prioritize the needs of your future self over the needs of your current self. Let me repeat that. You must prioritize the needs of your future self over the needs of your current self. This is the hardest of the 3. Why? Because you're already busy and overcommitted. You already have priorities. You've got family commitments, work commitments, social commitments. Your time is already accounted for. But to be successful, you must start to adopt the habits, mindset, and behaviors of your future self, right? You must start living from the perspective of your future self, failing from the perspective of your future self, making daily decisions from the perspective of your future self. That is what we do. When you create that future vision, that is your future self. What is it you want? Who are you becoming? What's the life that you're creating? How is it different? How are you different than from the person you are now? Then you work backwards. You look at, well, what are those non-negotiable habits of your future self? What are those guardrail habits of your future self? How is my future self able to prevent herself from slipping when she gets some results? How is my future self able to get the results and maintain that lifestyle to maintain those results? Those are the questions that you must ask yourself and you must answer, right? You see, my client JB went through the same process. Another one of my success stories. She started at 225 pounds. When we met, she was recovering from the emotional turmoil of a recent divorce. But we created a future vision. We did the emotional work, dealing with the urges and cravings and inner conflicts that was driving her to eat. Then we created what I call her non-negotiable and guardrail habits. These are the habits of your future self. Like I said, when you create your future vision, right, then we work backwards. You ask, what are the daily keystone habits of your future self? How was she able to achieve the body and maintain the lifestyle to create permanent results? When you're challenged daily, you learn to ask yourself, what would six-pack Sally do? One of my clients, Sally, she's always wanted to have a six-pack, but in order to do that, she had to lose over 60 pounds. She did. She lost over 60 pounds, right? But in order to get there, she called her future self Six-Pack Sally. So on a daily basis, she asks herself, well, when she gets in a bind, she asks herself, what would Six-Pack Sally do, right? What would Six-Pack Sally do? So that is what you get to do. You get to live now from the perspective of your future self. Now, when I talk about keystone habits, ladies, keystone habits are those foundational habits that affect many areas of your life. It's how you eat. It's how you move your body. It's your sleeping regime, right? Your sleeping habits. It's how you live your life in terms of your relationship to stress. So with JB, we looked at, well, what are the non-negotiable habits of her future self? Right? The simple eat, move, sleep, live habits she practices every day. What are those habits? And once she gets some results, we also created guardrail habits. This is how you catch yourself when you're slipping, like I said, so that regaining 5 pounds doesn't become 10, 15, or 20. And when we come up with these habits, we don't just throw your life upside down and start to eat a completely different way. This is where people go wrong, right? I was working on my clients doing one of the future self habits, which is, the hydration habit, drinking more water. And she automatically went to try and drink a gallon of water a day. I said, no, we don't do that, right? You don't go from barely drinking 4 or 5 glasses of water a day to try and drinking a gallon of water a day. You're just setting yourself up to fail. You don't go from being sedentary to try and exercise 4 to 5 days a week. Again, you're setting yourself up to fail. That's a recipe for failure, and that's not what we do. We practice another very important habit of your future self, right? Very, very important habit. That is 1% better every day. Strive to be 1% better every day. That is what I do with my clients. We change just one small habit each week, and we stick to it until you can consistently do it without thinking about it. Why do we do that? Because success is just consistency over time. So we make small changes. We don't try to change up your whole life at the same time. We focus on creating small habits. And the beauty is, folks, it's called habit stacking, right? Your habits stack on top of each other so that small habits over time become big transformation. Small habits over time, making small changes over time become big transformation because your habits stack on top of each other to get you big results. So each week we just focus on what are those little habits that we can practice and become consistent with. And when you get that, then we move on to the next one. If it takes you a month to master one small habit, like it does with a lot of my clients, we keep practicing and practicing and practicing until you get it, because it's that important. We're not in a hurry. We're creating your future self here, right? You've got the rest of your life to do this. So we're not in a hurry. We want to take time because, again, Success is consistency over time. It's being able to do the small things consistently over time. It's not going for big, lose 20 pounds in 7 days, lose 50 pounds in a month. Guarantee you do that, you're going to gain back every single pound of it. So we don't go for big results. We think small. We don't think big. We think small. When it comes to creating new habits, it pays to think small. So, like I said, this is a process I took JB and all my clients through. But long story short, within 2 years, JB went from 225 pounds to 135 pounds. She went from being sedentary to hiking and biking with a club every week. She went from being sedentary to working out at the gym 2-3 days a week. Right? We didn't start there. It took us a while to get there. But that was the life of her future self. And that's the life that she's now living. That's the life she's living today. She's living the life of her future self today. Okay? So the way you start is you start with that future vision. Then you come up with what are those keystone habits of your future self? Then you turn, what are those non-negotiables that you need to practice every day? Those non-negotiable habits that your future self practices every single day in order to get there. And you do them one at a time until you're able to master them, until you're able to consistently do them every day, day after day, right? Again, some days you're going to fail. We understand that. But we're not going for perfection. We're going for consistency. If you're able to succeed 80% of the time, if you're able to do what you need to do on 80% every day, guess what? You're ahead. You're ahead of the curve. We'll take that as a win, right? We're not going for 100%. Nobody gets 100%. We're going for consistency, not perfection. So, ladies, the secret to getting the life that you want, to creating the transformation that you seek, is to start small and stay consistent, and to have someone to hold you accountable. I can't tell you how important this is. You've got to have someone to hold you accountable, whether it's me or somebody else, it doesn't matter. But you've got to have someone to hold you accountable. Why? Because almost every single client I've worked with, I've gotten to a point where they felt like quitting. They just wanted to give up. They were just ready to give up. It's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm tired of going deep and doing all this work. And well, guess what? You got to get up the next day and do it. It's a constant process. It takes time. It's not something you do once and forget about it, right? You don't create habits that, okay, I'm now enlightened. Well, no, the more enlightened you think you are, the more shit life will throw at you just to see or to test your resolve, right? So this is a process. And you've got to be accountable. And it takes someone else to hold you accountable. Because if I wasn't there, right, a lot of my clients would probably have quit if they were working by themselves, right? If they didn't have me there to reassure them that, this is a natural part of the process. When you hit a plateau, that's a natural part of the process. When you feel like giving up, that's a natural part of the process. It's okay, right? Just put one foot in front of the other and you will get to the other side. Because emotions are fleeting. They never last. Well, that's why they're emotions, right? Energy in motion. Energy is constantly moving. It's fleeting. It never lasts. But you need to be accountable to someone so that you're able to put one foot in front of the other and keep moving when you feel like giving up, when you feel like sitting down and never getting up again. You've got to have someone there to hold you accountable and to remind you why you started this journey in the first place. You can't do this alone. Ladies, transformation takes work. It takes time. It takes effort. Why do you think so many people go for the short-term quick fix? And, even though they know the quicker you lose the weight, the quicker it's going to come back. They know that. The quicker you lose the weight, the quicker it's going to come back. So forget about weight loss. Forget about, diets and exercise. Forget about all that. That's not where it's at. That's not where your results are going to come from. You need to focus on transformation. You deserve better. You deserve to get your sexy back. You deserve to transform your life. You deserve to do this for the very last time. You know, recent studies show that 60% of women are trying to lose weight, right? And of that, the majority of women will go through 13 to 20 serious attempts to lose weight in their lifetime. 13 to 20 serious attempts. That's a lot of freaking unnecessary suffering to go through. How many times have you gone through that process? How many times have you lost weight and regained it? How many times do you have to allow yourself to go through the process of feeling shame and self doubt and beating yourself up when you can't maintain these restrictive diets and going through all the unnecessary suffering that women put themselves through just to lose weight? You deserve better. You deserve to get your sexy back. Sexy, remember, is confidence. Sexy is being able to look in the mirror and love the person looking back at you. Sexy is feeling comfortable in your own skin no matter what you weigh, ladies. Sexy is learning to feel your feelings, not feed your feelings. Sexy is being confident in your ability to work through difficult emotions before they lead to self sabotage. Sexy is having a self care regime to look and feel your best instead of trying to lose weight just to feel good about yourself. Sexy is feeling whole and complete, not broken or emotionally damaged. Sexy is learning to love yourself again. I didn't come up with this. This is what women over the years have told me that they want. This is what they consider sexy. This is what I work with my clients on. This is what I would work with you on as well. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want to get your sexy back?